Recruitment. So it's really important that businesses have the right employees with the right skills. And you could get a question on this where you have to explain why it's important. So the right employees will produce good quality goods and provide good customer service. That could increase loyalty to the business, repeat purchases, customers willing to pay a higher price. They'll maximize the productivity and therefore reduce the unit cost of the product. So you might get more profitable products being made with higher gross profit margins. And they tend to stay loyal to the business and reduce the need for the business to go through the recruitment process again, because the recruitment process can actually be quite expensive. We're going to have a look at it now, all the different stages. So first of all, you've got to identify a job vacancy. This might be because the business is growing or some employees have left. You've got high labour turnover. Maybe they're not so happy with the business, or maybe they've just retired. Then there's a few documents that you probably want to prepare. The job description. So this is information all about the job, the duties, the tasks that make up the job. Might have the location of the business, the pay, whether it's work from home or working in the office, all those types of details. The person specification is really a really good document as well, which will be more about the ideal candidate. So it sets out the qualifications and the skills required to fill that job. So yeah, skills, qualifications, past experience. They need to advertise the job vacancy. We'll look at different ways that they can do that. They then will get a number of applications. There might be some people that they can discard because they don't fit the person specification. They'll probably match them against the person specification and see how well they fit. Interviewing is quite a long process, so you only want to bring people to interview who are appropriate for that job, because you don't want to put someone through the stress of an interview if you don't need to, and also you're wasting your own time as a business. So shortlisting is important. You'll request references, so these are statements from previous employers about the performance of that person. So you're getting not just the person saying they're brilliant, because obviously they're going to say they're brilliant if they come to an interview, but you get another person's account as well. You might get a reference from their current employer and their previous employer as well. Then you'll want to do interviews to meet them, and you've then got to make a decision and offer somebody a new person contract and appoint them. So the process might be different depending on what type of business. So with a small business, you might have people making contact with you. If I'm just thinking of a cafe, people going in, maybe students saying they're looking for part-time work. So you may need, there may be less need for advertising. People like drop off CVs very often with small businesses. You might not need to shortlist either because you have fewer applicants. Small business as well, you might not be recruiting very many people. You might just be advertising in the local press if you are advertising. Large businesses, they probably will want to have their own application process. So they might not want just CVs. They might want an application form. So then everybody's laid it out in the same way and they can compare the different applicants and make that shortlisting quicker. They might make more use of testing, which I'll go into in a bit more detail later. And they may not just do one round of interviews. They might do telephone interviews first of all to shortlist that list of candidates even more than the initial shortlist, and then they might do face-to-face interviews as well. So some of the stages of the recruitment process can differ as well. So advertisement might be internal, so just sending an email around the current employees because it's a promotion opportunity, or it might be external, so advertising outside of the business, trying to look for someone who doesn't work currently in the business. It could be both of them as well. You don't always have to decide between the two. You could reuse recruitment agencies. These agencies are people or businesses that put relevant candidates in touch with the business. You do have to pay to use those. Different types of media could be used to advertise the job. You could go to a job centre. You could use local newspaper. It could be national newspaper, depending on what it is. Specialist job websites like Indeed.com. The application method, I've touched on this before, could be a little bit different. So you might be asking for a letter of application where they're writing to you, explaining what experience they have. They might be sending in a CV, which is usually a one-page document that details their skills, experience, qualifications. It could be informal contact. It could be an application form as well that the business has put together to make it easier to compare. The interview could be face-to-face, telephone, or online, increasingly online these days. And you might, it says alternative to interview. I think an interview is always going to be essential. However, you might do a skills test, an aptitude test. So a skills test would be more like assessing their maths and English. This could be done remotely. It could be an online skills test. An aptitude test, seeing how they actually cope with some of the elements of the job. Sometimes you have to in interviews like write emails. There's like an email inbox exercise where it's a computer program and it sends you different emails and you have to reply to them. There might be a group test to see how you communicate and get on with the other employees or other applicants that are there. And there could be role play as well, where they're taking you through, maybe for like customer service, they're taking you through customer interaction. So different methods, you've got to know the different methods of recruitment, advantages and disadvantages. So more looking at internal and external recruitment. So if you're just employing someone from inside the business, you send round an email, it's very cheap to advertise, you know the applicant very well, you know their skills, and it can be very motivating as well. If employees know there's opportunities for promotion, people like to develop, people want to feel like there's opportunities to earn more money. However, external recruitment, you will have a wider pool of applicants to choose from because you're not just choosing from inside the business. The problem with internal vacancy is it creates, once you promote that person, you've also created another vacancy in the business as well. So you'd have to recruit, eventually you'd have to go externally. And external recruitment can bring in new skills, so it really depends on the case study you're looking at. But if the business wants to expand in a different direction, they don't currently have someone with those skills, that would be really good to use external recruitment to get in those skills. So past paper questions. So what is the job description? Why is it important? So it's the written statement about the duties, purpose, responsibility, scope, working conditions. So it can be used in advertising the job. If it's an online advertisement as well, you can click to download the document. It'll show what the applicant's expected to do. So therefore you're only going to get the right people applying because they understand the job better and they can decide whether it's for them. All those details about pay and hours that they have. Similar question, but looking at this person specification. So it's the written statement about the ideal person, the qualification, skills and experience. So again, only suitable applicants will apply. That makes the shortlisting process a little bit better. You can, once you get in the application forms, you're going to compare it to the person specification. So it makes shortlisting a little bit easier and makes it easier to make sure you're employing the right person for the job.